I said, we're a little late. We're supposed to pick her up at 7:30, and I said, just call her and just tell her we're going to be a few minutes late. And I dialed and got the phone. He took the phone. He said, we're just going to be a little late. You remember, we're going out tonight to the prom. Well, why are you going? I thought you said yes to me. Oh. Yeah, I know. I know who he is. Oh. Okay, sorry. Then he hung up. I thought we were going to go there, and she was no girl. So I called Suzanne, and I said, Suzanne, get some of those, because this guy was a rough customer, someone, tough kid. I said, Suzanne, get some of the gorgeous girls up in your ward, and have them come over. I'm going to bring Fui Tusisena. I'm going to bring Fui. And so I brought Fui up there, and she talked to the girls, and she made them be really nice to Fui. And he had a good night.
He saved his night. He saved his night.
Of course.
I didn't know anyone else to call except Suzanne. And I knew she'd immediately get the girls there and immediately be kind.
Well, that's probably a story in itself as to how you were the chauffeur that night. You were just helping him out?
Yeah, and then later on when he went to jail. No kidding, he was a good kid. I loved him. Went to jail, and by this time he was 260 pounds and 6'3". And I went to the Lomita Sheriff's Station, and I said, I'm his minister. I was not, but I said, I'm his minister, and I'd like to go see him. And so he said, the last cell. It's a holding cell before he went to the big jail. And I went, there was Fui, sitting in the back of the cell with his hands on his face, and he looked up and he said, I'm really scared here, I'm crying. And he was crying. And he came over and said, oh, what I've done, I just was going to drive the car around for a while. He was a member of the church. He got some guy's car and drove it, and he was picked up for stealing a car. And he put his hands through, I'm so sorry. And that was another reminder that we can judge people so quickly, so foolishly. He was a good kid.
Did he end up going to prison?
Just for a short time.
He's out now.
One of the best kids I ever worked with, the boy who would tell me, who do you want me to dance with, Perez? They called me that because I was released. But who do you want me to dance with? And I said, that girl hasn't had a dance all night. And don't tell her I told you, just go dance with her. And he would go dance with her. He was half black, half white. And he would go dance with her and be nice. And then I would drop all the boys off, and he'd be last. I'd take him out for a bite to eat afterwards, usually, because the home I took him back to was just terrible. And while he was this sweet kid, he was on the corner with some Bloods, and some Crips drove up, remember?
Gangs. Yes.
Some Crips drove up, and they said, this is our corner. And they had just shown him a gun. They had just shown him a gun. And so he put the gun down by his side, and the guy said, what are you doing in the corner? And the Bloods were saying, you can't be here. And the Crips were saying, this is our corner. And so, and he said, I just was going to scare him. And he shot a guy right in the forehead and killed him.
This is the boy that you...
No, this was another one of those boys. This was a rough bunch, 12 boys. 9 Hispanics, 1 black, 1 white.
So this was one of the boys that you were your men's president to?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it was kind of a hybrid group between the Spanish group and the San Pedro ward. Mm-hmm. It was a group of guys who were a little different. And he went to jail.
Is this the same one?
Sure. Yeah, we don't know that. We don't know he killed that girl.
Which one would that be?
Do we know who?
But see, what's confusing to me...
Was he the one that did
he was the
cut
sweetest
something
kid.
into her back or something?
Oh, that's another one.
And he was so terrified and so sorry for what he did. He didn't mean to do it. We can't blame him for these. We don't know for sure.
She's leaving.
Who?
Linda just left.
She's probably going with Steve. I don't know.
Not with Steve. She's very cool.
What, in the car?
Okay. So, okay, we'll go quickly. Were there ever times in your
She's
service...
going to record her questions of how to get them to you.
Where you two felt you had a special understanding? Perhaps you saw things in ways differently than the other leaders did that you were working with.
Oh, yes.
When we tell you that we were given a mandate to change the state,
Yes, very much
Keith
so.
Hilbig said, I don't want to recognize it. We came back with a plan once, and he said, this is not the upheaval I'm looking for. And we stopped, hi!
Sit down and listen for a minute before we go.
We stopped all of the ward mutuals, and we had building mutuals instead. And then we'd have, I mean, we just disrupted everything. We had all the kids get together. We had a stake youth missionary corps. It just was, and Suzanne worked so hard, and every person had to, every one of our leaders had to call every kid under their
There's
direction
several hundred.
every Wednesday
Every
night. And
Tuesday
we would
night
check
for the
off.
Wednesday night activity, because they're building mutuals.
And the
So they could
attendance
meet
just
together.
skyrocketed. It was just amazing.
Wow.
And that was the prelude. Well, anyway, it really was. And we were in sync with this. And we brought our counselors along. And you couldn't compare it to anything else in the church at that time.
Right.
At least that I knew of. And so we had to convince our counselors. And our counselors came on board. Then we showed it to our stake president. And sweet Keith Hilbig said, "This is great."
They did.
Really? So just to be clear, you combined several words together
Yes.
according to the
Three
building,
words in this building,
and
three
the,
words in this
Pedro
building.
area
and
and
the
Palos
purpose for
Verdes.
that was
To get more kids away
More
from
kids.
school
More kids
to each other.
with each
and
other.
then every month we had the whole stake get together.
2 stake activities a month.
So you didn't have little struggling mutuals.
No.
but you
It was
had
good
big
stuff.
groups.
Oh,
Kids.
and the one, in fact, I talked to some people last night at the Browns,
Who?
the Browns, and they used to bring
Browns.
Where are you going?
a bunch of tough kids up
Yes.
who wanted to fight the kids in the other building. And they were just real fighters.
They were in the
Terry
Harbor
Brown.
Ward with Judy York.
And they're half Samoan. At least Terry Brown was, and his buddies were, Crazy Randy was. And I say, they're back. They're in the cultural hall. They're looking for the guys from the Lanada Bay War. So Suzanne goes speak to them.
He was such a
So
baby.
Suzanne would go to talk to all these boys because I was a baby. Suzanne would go to all these boys
He
and say,
didn't want to talk to him.
"We
'cause
love
every-
you boys. We think you're wonderful." And then she'd take them by the face and say, "Do not fight tonight."
You know what? Their whole life was fighting. Or trying to come to the stake dances with long black coats and naked underneath.
No, it was one time. That was one.
And we remember we caught on to that?
I don't remember
that wouldn't take
that
too
at
long to
all.
catch
No,
on.
because we
They didn't
started,
expose themselves.
we started, no, but they would say,
But yes, but we.
they act like they're going to. But that's when we started worrying about a dress code.
Oh, like that.
Yeah, but Suzanne, it was much
Just
different
put
than we.
something on.
We were more liberal. We were more liberal.
And what was the
We could afford
missionary
to be.
corps?
We
What
probably had to be.
was that?
We had
when you say
we had 60 kids join it as the youth missionaries of the stake. So we would get them before stake once a month activity, and they'd come in the chapel, and we'd have our meeting with them for 45 minutes on their missionary work they're doing in their high schools. And we had a lot of teenagers come into church. We had a
Really?
bunch. Oh yeah.
so what would you do in that 45-minute meeting?
Oh, we'd go over who they're talking to. We'd have them bear testimonies
They'd all
about
have
their
the
successes.
report.
And a lot of them, would say, "I'm going to get anything. Nothing would happen good." And other kids would barely. But the point is, after a couple of years, we had a lot of people, a lot of kids join the church.
Wow.
A bunch.
Yes, it was,
Yeah.
but it was amazing. But it took a while for it to catch on and to do it. But it's the consistency of doing it. I mean,
Wasn't it a building?
as we just told them.
Building.
It was buildings and then once a month stake.
Stake.
We used to bring the
Stake
building
missions.
up to the stake center.
But
That's
to,
right.
to her question, I think sometimes we do find that we think differently than
Sure.
a lot of people. And it's come down generations, because I'll confer with my sisters or with Becky, and we'll say, how come these people don't get it? And we have this vision
think
that
differently
a lot
than
of
some
people
of
don't
them
have.
here. Yeah.
And I think you've passed
One
it
of the
on
things
down.
that's different is, from what I find out, is here where we live, although it's fine, they continually change the youth leadership. And it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of difference here. That they just give everybody a chance, and they're good people and put them in. And it was very important back there, under Randy, especially as our stake president. He would say, you get to know those girls and with the boys, that you are, remember, you're not their teacher, you're their advisor, you're like their mother. And we want you to stay with them as long as they're 3 and 4 years, we'd be their counselor. And it wasn't because we're lacking other people to take the place of him. He would say, you can choose the very finest top leaders anywhere in the stake. Number 1 is youth. He said, not Relief Society, not primary, but he said that is number 1. And they can stay as long as they're really, really bringing these youth along. And it was true. We really felt the responsibility that we had to be like their mother. And because I remember him saying,
what do you mean when you say that, to be like their mother?
Well,
calling them or what?
Calling them, caring about
Having a
them
relationship
on a
with
daily, not just waiting for mutual activity on that night or Sunday or just the job of calling them and inviting them, but caring about them every day. So they're calling you up and I remember a couple of times I said, well, aren't parents going to think that we're interfering at all? And he said, I'll take care of that. And we had Randy. And he had a stake fireside of parents. And he said, remember, these people are the advisors of your kids. And you're very fortunate. Because if they're not getting advice, which they're not going to listen to parents much at this age.
No.
If they're not going to get advice from good, strong LDS leaders, they're going to take it from kids at school. And that's the worst place they can get it.
Right.
And he said, so never, ever try to stand in between the advice of the advisors. That's why they're not called
But I suppose
teachers.
the advisors
I
the
remember
same
you-
way about the youth, but about the parents. I mean, I wanted them to like each other because
Oh, yeah, everyone had to get along.
There was,
Oh,
as
yeah, we never
changed
undermined the
whole
parents.
program,
Never
as we
would
changed the
undermine the
program, there's a
parents.
lot of parents who were unhappy.
Yeah.
They just didn't. They just
Didn't get it.
and who
probably
didn't
the
want to.
tribal-
And who said to us, "I'd rather have my kids at a school function or something." And we'd say, "Wrong. Bring them to church. I don't care." So they're not going to play football this year. Bring them to church. And
That's
so
not even the idea here.
we were very
Nobody,
strong.
no, not at all.
I'm a young men's president. One of the guys at the reunion last night, he was a young men's president, a young one, a stake president. And he said, you got all the young men's presidents in for a meeting. And you asked us to raise our hand if we loved the boys that we were in charge of. We all raised our hands. And I said, and then you said to me, and he got teary last night, Hal Brown.
Yeah.
He got teary, and he said, and then you said, how often, how consistently, how passionately do you look at them in the eyes and say, I love you, each of these boys? And he said, that changed my whole perspective as a young men's president. I said, you gotta let them know you love them. You gotta tell them all the time, because behind the scenes they're doing stupid things. Behind the scenes they feel unworthy and they feel ugly, and that's the biggest thing teens face.
Feeling unworthy. So what did you both learn about working with difficult people? How did you handle that?
I had several difficult girls. And I remember talking to Randy. And I remember him saying, just keep them with you. Don't let them out of your sight, out of your love. Let them know that you love them no matter, and that you'll help them through it. I said, oh gosh, who do I talk to? You said you may have to talk to the bishop. I remember one of the girls said to me, could I have a ride to the South Bay Free Clinic and get my birth control pills? And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't be doing that. But I remember doing it.
You did it?
Yes, I did it.
I didn't tell you to do that.
No, I
I
didn't.
told you to love them and be nice to them.
I didn't ask him. I didn't ask him that one. I didn't ask him that one because you know what? She was about to go on her own and do it by herself, and I thought she was going to pick up with the naughty girls and go with them, and I tried to get her out of not doing it anymore.